And welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. Now, if you've been a long-time viewer of Paint Society, you might even remember this same vehicle on the channel before, receiving a similar paint job. And that's right, what we have here is an Acura RSX, one of my most favorite vehicles. I enjoyed painting it before, and I can't wait to coach you and teach you a little bit more about satin silvers and metallics and how to spray and lay them down so they're a nice streakless finish and a beautiful OEM repair. So what we have here is a new hood. There were some scratches in the OEM primer, so we sanded that down and reprimed it. And here we have a replacement fender. It's been cut in already. And over here we had just a little bit of rubbing to the front side of the door. On the driver's side, this is going to be a blend. So our blend is prepared with 800 grit. Now, today on this episode, I'm gonna show you my routine and how I do things to get a nice finish. And let me tell you something. I was that guy about 5-6 years ago, very nervous about a job like this, about getting model, about my blend on the door. But I can tell you today, I can walk right into the booth with total confidence and lay down a beautiful job. And I'm gonna show you how to do it as well. And one thing I always do find a little challenging is if you look at this color, NH623M, you can see here, look at all these variants. We're counting the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, about 19 variants we have here. Now, luckily for me, I narrowed it down on my last run and I made a spray out card of it. And I not only made a spray out card of it, but I took a picture of it in my phone. I found out when I made the video last, and I found it in my phone, that actual standard and the actual other variant that we were going to use, which is D3, so 3 times darker, or the third variant of darker. And that is what matches this vehicle. The standard was just a little bit too red, but the greener D3 is the color that we're looking for. This vehicle's been repainted over once before, and this is the color that matches the previous paint job. So let's go ahead and get started on sealer, and I'll talk about why you need sealer. So let's talk about sealer. Do you need it? Do you not? Well, in a production setting, it's gonna help you out here. You could easily just primer all this and be fine, but it's a little bit faster, it's a little bit more efficient, and it's gonna leave a nice substrate for our silver metallic to lay down on. So this is OEM sanded primer with 400. Everything's been sanded with 400. So we could have easily just primer the whole entire hood, right? And then gone from there, but that takes time. But for a do-it-yourselfer without a booth, sometimes sealer can get you into trouble. So what I intend to do here, guys, is I'm gonna seal the whole hood. I'm gonna seal into here because there was a scratch a little bit here or something that needed to be feathered out. So I'm gonna seal all this, and then I'm gonna seal into the door, and then I'm gonna wet bed the sealer edge and make sure it's nice and smooth. But let me show you the sealer that we're gonna be using. So the folks at home, this might be a little bit of a disadvantage to you because you're not gonna have this system. And sealers generally, they're gonna come white, black, and gray, but you can mix those together. So this is color build. In this system, these are all swatches you can mix for a color to match in primer or sealer. So basically all I really wanna do here is just get the color close enough to what I have here. And no, these are a little bit more green, but this looks like a really good match here. This is soft gray, so I'll mix this up and we'll seal our hood, fender, and into the door. And here's the sealer. We're mixing it up. You can see it's that nice light soft gray. And guys, if you want to support the channel, we've got these awesome collab paint suits. They come in a full paint suit. They have our Paint Society logo. This is us, guys. That a lot of you have been really a part of this community for a long time. So if you want to represent it, definitely check it out. And what's even better, in the back is you got the full logo with our catchphrase, which sometimes I overthink it, but I remind myself of the catchphrase because it definitely helps out. So what we're gonna do for sealer is I'm gonna use the DV1. There's not necessarily a sealer gun, but there needs to be a good gun for sealer because this is the foundation. So we're gonna use this for sealer, and then we'll see how nice it lays down. Now we're gonna take this edge that could be a little fuzzy and we're gonna smooth it out. Basically all we need is clear base. This is clear base blending additive. It's actually pretty much one of the toners. A little extra slow reducer. I just kind of cocktail this stuff up. Put that there. The cup. And then, whatever, we'll take one of these. Segola. We'll use this gun for clear, so we'll have clear in it. Put that there. Usually you should probably be prepared to do this, but since it's kind of cool out, it's fine. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go the whole door, and this is blending additive, clear base, and it's going to smooth out that edge. Now you can use a different product called like a melt away. That will work as well, but this works a little bit better. At this point, what we've created is a nice smooth transition and the same exact substrate and tone underneath our base coat. And this is the foundation that you need to get a perfect silver metallic paint job. So this is the color we talked about. We're about to put the reducer in now. When it comes to reducer, you have a few different options. And guys, I don't need the extra slow, but I'm definitely gonna do it. This is what's really gonna get you guys out of trouble. The slow will work right now, but the extra slow, it's going to, let's say, evaporate, right? If we put it into easier terms, at a slower rate. So if it's drying at a slower rate, then what's gonna happen is that edge is gonna stay smoother. Now, what's the downside? This stuff takes a long time to dry, and for some reason, it does not allow the paint to cover as easy. But I don't have time right now to redo this job. I want this job to come out perfect the first time. So I'm gonna choose extra slow for this job. That's what I used before and it came out perfect. And we're gonna use it for this job. So if you have extra slow or very high temp, 98 and above, those are usually indication of the hottest possible temperature reducer. Now, I'm not gonna use this if it's 60 degrees in the booth, guys. You gotta draw the line somewhere, but it's around 75. We still have some other parts to paint on another day that we're still waiting on. So let's say tomorrow it might not be 75 in the booth. It might be 85 in South Florida. Those things happen. I mean, it could be 85 in an hour from now, who knows? But I know if I'm using a silver and I'm painting in South Florida, that 360 days out of 365 days, I'm gonna be using extra slow. On a bumper, I probably wouldn't do it. If it was just a bumper, I wouldn't do it because there's no reason to, because you're going edge to edge, it doesn't really matter. But we're doing blends here and we're doing a big area. And this stuff right here is gonna help you. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, if you're new to painting, if you're in the body shop, you've been painting a long time, if you never use it, some of you guys don't even know it exists. It helps you guys out. Use something that helps you. It's gonna make you a better painter, and that's what we all want. And we're sitting about 15 minutes out after our sealer. See how nice and smooth this sealer is? This is exactly what you want. Now, if your sealer's not smooth, don't sand it. Apply your first coat of base and then you can sand it. But check this out. Naturally, these edges dry a little bit crusty. And this isn't the nicest edge right here, but check this out. When I take my tack rag and show it to you guys in real time here, I can guarantee you there's not gonna be much of any sealer on here. See that? And see how it's not getting caught up? And also listen, do you hear anything? Barely can hear anything. That means that we're gonna be able to put our silver right over this, no problem. Now, if the case was that it was dry and yucky, no problem. Take 800 grit, scuff it up, take your tack rag, wipe it off, you're good to go. Over here on this edge, Same thing. Nice and smooth, we're good to go. We're gonna start to apply our paint here and work our way over 75 to 80% overlap, and then we'll start to blend in here. First coat is down. Pretty good coverage because of that sealer. Let all the solvents come out the paint. We can already see the blend here is looking fantastic. Now I am painting the bumper, that's why I'm putting color right here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit flash, and then we'll take a look at it once it's been flashed off. You can see how it's all doled out after that 10 minutes. It's actually up to 82 degrees, I just double checked. So, you know, it's still pretty cool. Over in here, we can still see the blend because we don't have as much coverage as we want, so I can still see it just a little bit. But when I come over here, I'm gonna extend it, and I'm gonna extend it as an X pattern, and we'll lose it. And I don't think it will need more than maybe another half coat after that, just to make sure. Let's lay down our second coat right now. Same pattern, same everything, just a little bit more coverage. We just laid down the second coat, it's got good coverage. Let's just go into a half coat right now. Just a touch more distance, same everything on the gun, and that's just gonna help it out. So let's just do the half coat right now. All right, so that is what we would call the half coat. Now, the half coat is not necessarily a textbook thing or whatever, just kind of my own thing. Half coat necessarily would mean like not a true full coverage coat. And the reason why I do the half coat after I just sprayed the last coat is because it's still wet. And if you were trying to do a half coat on like a surface that had already dried, it's not gonna melt into anything. So another reason why I'm using extra slow is because it takes longer to dry. So anything I put back on top of it is still gonna melt in. It's not gonna have that surface that's kind of filmed over already. So the extra slow just really helps out when you're using the solvent, because solvent can dry a little bit quicker. So with the half coat we put on after the second coat, I think we're good. Less is more when doing silvers. If you start to add more, then that's a problem. A lot of you guys are messaging me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. I can't get my paint job smooth for silver. If you're past 3 coats and it's still looking gritty and streaky, stop what you're doing, sand it down with 800, 1000 grit, water, I don't care, bring it into the booth, sand it down, and then smooth it out and dry it up, and then start over. And as for the blend, it's looking really good. You can see there's no real transition between what we've got over here and what we have over here. So I'm really happy with this, and I think we're ready to move forward. And I gotta say, it's looking pretty good. Our blend over here on the top of the fender looks good. What's most important really over here is this blend. And I gotta say, that's looking pretty good. But the true test is really outside. How does it look when the sun is on it or if it's cloudy? You know, different lights will reflect differently and show the car differently. So you want it to look as best as possible in all different types of lighting. And here it is outside. We just have the bumper left to do, and now it's gonna wrap it up. You can see, man, this thing came out really good. You can see the side tone blended really good. From all angles, it's looking good for the front end. Just a beautiful paint job here, no streaks. And that extra slow really does help out when doing a paint job just like this. Over here, a blend on this side, it looking really good as well. The whole rest of the car probably could use a paint job, but for the paint job and the work that we did, we matched the color really well, and I'm really happy with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the paint job, and if there's anything different that you would have done that would also help out other people, please drop that in the comment section as well. Until then, guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.